Friends and enemies, welcome back. CBP 202. I'm Joey. That's Len. I just told Len before I sat down here, I spilled an entire pint of milk on the chair. It's a little bit on my shirt.
It's not in the upper part. If it's on a lower,
yeah, you can't see it. You can't see it. Yeah, I just got to get more. I got to get wider for the show and
see. We're basically we're nude from the waist down, but nobody could tell because it's not shown, right?
I am wearing.
There you go. See, there's nothing there. Right, nothing there.
There's something for the perverts out there. What's going on, man? Happy Monday. How the heck are you? Good to see you.
Oh yeah, another day, another dollar, Joey. It's a beautiful day, and it's a day where Trump has been very active too.
He's a busy guy. He's a very busy guy.
More tariffs have been enacted as of today, and Canada's impacted from that. But
yeah.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
We will for sure. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. We got check. We got Toronto's budget disaster. Mayor Olivia just keeps delivering for us, among other things. But first, as always, the sponsors, EasyDNS, Mark, and the team, your friendly neighborhood registrar. If you haven't started a website yet, why? It's like less than $20 to grab a domain. Go to EasyDNS, buy one, buy Joey's Big Toe.xyz and start selling that picture of my foot I just gave you. A couple bucks a month membership, obviously. That's what everyone's doing now. If you haven't done it yet, you should. Mark is, for us, Len, he's been a great partner of the show, friend of ours, obviously, for a few years now. But the service you get at EasyDNS is second to none. Why? First of all, domain share. Never have to worry about getting nicked by some nefarious actor spoofing your domain, spoofing your email, grabbing data, info, trying to scam your customers, your mailing list. Doesn't happen. Domain share, Mark's got you covered. Actually, we talk about domain share a lot on Access of Easy, the other podcast we do for EasyDNS. On top of that, if you're a Bitcoin enthusiast, probably if you're listening to this show, I mean, you can do anything you want over there with the virtual private server suite, BTC Pay server, NOS Relay, Bitcoin node, nodeless implementation, probably other stuff too. I don't know, but all available to you at EasyDNS. If you use our promo code CBP Media, you get half off your first round of buys, which is incredible. There's nowhere in the world that's just giving you 50% off for showing up, except Mark. And of course, if you're unhappy with the service, probably your fault, honestly. But Mark will still give you your money back, which is unbelievable. You can't even get your money back from Fortino's if you buy a bag of milk that has a puncture in it. How do I know? I've been there. So
you went to the wrong Fortino's then.
I guess, but like they didn't. I don't know. Maybe I should try some other ones. But anyway,
everything from Costco. You could bring back milk that you drank and take it back, right?
Yeah, like I can. There's something wrong with this milk.
Yeah, it's just air inside it.
EasyDNS. Go there. Use the promo code. Tell Mark we sent you, or talk to him in the chat. He could be in the chat. Could be here tonight. We don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Somebody's asking what's Fortino's.
It's just it's an Anglophone grocer, okay? Southern Ontario special. You don't see it too many other places. There's probably like 40 Fortinos, would you say? Is that the right number?
Give or take. Yeah. Some Italian family started it up and grew it out a little bit. But
Yep.
All right, let's talk about bull Bitcoin, because you know what? Like, we're going to talk about a rugging story today. And one place you're not going to get rugged is through bull Bitcoin. And why? It's because when you buy from them, they do not hold your Bitcoin. Think about it. They want to send you the Bitcoin right away. And in fact, you can't initiate the purchase until you provide an address in which to send it to. So make sure you use a new address every time. Don't use the same address. That is a security issue. But Bull Bitcoin wants you to have the Bitcoin as soon as you buy it. So the other thing you could do with your Bitcoin, because fees go high, fees don't go high. But if they're high, you could use Lightning. If they're not high, you could use on-chain. Right now, they're still very, very low fees. So I would suggest use on-chain buys, but this is your choice, whatever you want to do. You could also do a few other things with your Bitcoin, like pay some bills, right? There may be some outstanding Christmas card bills you still have to pay off. Don't hold off forever. It's going to go to collections. Use that Bitcoin that you have bought in the past and use that to pay off some of the bills that you have accumulated. Also, what else could you do with your Bitcoin? Spend it. How could you spend it? Well, a lot of merchants here in Canada and the rest of the world don't accept Bitcoin directly, but you could buy gift cards, and Bull Bitcoin will be able to sell you gift cards. With that, you can start spending your Bitcoin indirectly in the real world. Really cool stuff. Check them out. They're available now in Europe and a lot of European nations. So if you're not just in Canada, if Europe, you could also get Bull Bitcoin there. Use our promo code, and if you do that, $21 will be added to your account so do you provide the necessary information? Love Bull Bitcoin. Privacy. They have you first in mind, similar to EasyDNS.
Good as it gets. Good as it gets. Housekeeping. Last week, John Rubino, Dollar Collapse, among other things, came on the show Tuesday night. What a fun interview. That was a great interview. I said to John that I've been subscribed to his stuff for a while.
People love that interview.
Man, he's great. And I'll tell you what, it's difficult to win over this chat. Like, you know, I've been paying attention to the chat more and more during the guest shows, and people hate what the guests say sometimes. So, you know, having these guys get behind John, a lot of things he said and thought, even though he's not quite there on Bitcoin, but he's not all the way out either, was nice to see. So highly recommend you check out his Substack, rubino.substack.com. Lots of good content there, stuff that you will for sure enjoy reading and agree with, which, hey, you know, who's looking to disagree with people on the internet these days? Not me. Wednesday this week, Rich Diaz for sure, Keith Dicker tentative on the Google Calendar invite. So we'll see. Could get 2/3 of the Looney Hour podcast. If not, you know, I will settle for Rich. Rich and I have become friends. We had beers last year in Montreal. He came to the conference meetup, the first night meetup, which was a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to talking to the two of them. You know, nothing slow about what's going on in Canada these days, Canadian politics, Canadian economics. We might talk a little bit about what the bank is up to tonight, among other things. And then Thursday, programming alert, got a message today from none other than Brad Mills. Brad Mills and Ali of Tahini's fame will be stopping by the studio Thursday, 12:45 for what will be a high quality. I mean, every rip is high quality, but that's going to be of the highest quality. So looking forward to having those guys come by. Big shout to Brad's EA, Jessica, I think, who's helping to set it up.
He has an EA?
He does. How come we don't have one? I need an EA big time. My calendar's a fucking mess. It's a mess.
You're going to burn yourself out at this pace, Joey. So try to
I'm grinding. Listen, you're not going to see me. I got this week, the 21st, Scott Wolf is coming here. So next week he's coming here. And then you're not going to see me unless it's on a Monday night for at least a month. You ain't gonna, unless something incredible pops up, you ain't going to see me. I'll be MIA, which is fine.
A month is fairly short.
Yeah, maybe a little longer. I don't know. We'll see. I don't like taking that much time off. It's an exciting time to be in Bitcoin, exciting time to talk in economics, and it's exciting time to have a podcast.
And I'm sure everybody likes to hear you, but I just want to reiterate, don't burn yourself out. It's awesome to hear you do 3 shows a week, but it's tough to maintain that pace, especially since you have a little one and all these extracurricular activities you're doing. So just, you know, be mindful. So
Len's been getting, my wife must be messaging Len on the side and telling him to say that. Get Joey to slow down on the podcast.
I've said this for weeks. Well before your wife has been texting me to tell you to slow down. No. Boosts or no?
Let's do it, of course.
All right. So wartime, consistent.
Cheers, wartime. Cheers.
There you go.
Here's a chocolate milk. This is more of a Fred Van Fleet than a Pascal Siakam, but a little bit of chocolate milk in there anyway. Cheers.
So 333 sats. He does it twice. Once is the cheers. But the second one, it's not just a cheers. He gives the flex and the cheers. So it's a double up on that one. No. So wartime, like, you're consistent. I appreciate these sats. And love to see that the next week you'll probably do the same thing with some cheers. Hopefully you're doing as well. Cheers to you, buddy. Doug and Roop, Joey. Doug and Roop. 521 sats. He said, consolidating UTXOs is so much easier than sending gold bars to Switzerland to have them melted down and recast.
Did you hear that part of the interview with Rubino?
No.
Rubino talking about, sorry to cut you off, but this is like incredible. I should have mentioned this in the sort of housekeeping. The standard for gold bars is not the same around the world. Did you know this? I did not know this. So if you get a bar in London, sometimes if you're bringing it to the United States, I think he said, you have to actually send it to Switzerland first to have it melted, recast, and then shipped back to the United States.
Is that the size or the purity of gold?
It's the size.
So some areas have a bigger bar, so to speak,
I guess.
Heavier bar.
Yeah. Is that nuts or what? That is crazy.
Well, I guess there's US gallons and imperial gallons, right? It's a little bit of everything. Oh, what the fuck? Roman foot and the foot that we know does it today. Just all kinds of bullshit. To standardize this fucking crap. Well, anyways, going back to Doug and Roop, he says, having also nearly lost a gold coin in Starbucks when attempting to sell one. I can't believe he tried that. The points in Bitcoin's favors are continuing to rack up. Like, nobody would even consider bringing a gold coin anywhere to sell. Like, it just makes no sense. Let us say you've done it, Doug and Roop, obviously is tongue in cheek, but man, how do you go there and just flake off? Here's a couple of grams. Here you go. Let's weigh it out. See, okay, I'll take that fucking cafe and take that to go. It's not feasible. But Bitcoin, you could do it easily. Granted, on-chain takes 10 minutes to fucking, on average, to settle. But that's why there's Lightning, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which brings us to the next one. Is Lightning. This guy, Hetch? I don't know. 1001 sats. He says, Lightning requires on-chain transactions, so base layer block demand comes from 8 billion people opening and closing channels. Question mark. Yeah, it's true. Like, I took this snippet from the Lightning white paper, and it says, if all transactions using Bitcoin were conducted inside a network of micropayment channels, this is the Lightning network, to enable 7 billion people to make 2 channels per year with unlimited transactions inside a channel, it would require 133 megabyte block sizes. So the current block size just does not fit to have a large number of people jump on Lightning and open up 2 channels per year with unlimited transactions within it. So that's why they're looking at channel factories and other options that hopefully can scale this up. But
timely episode of Preston Pish's podcast with Luke Groman, where they end up talking quite a bit about Lightning and the mechanisms that are behind Lightning. I don't recommend listening to that one at 1.3 speed, but I do recommend listening to it and trying to get a handle on that. It's interesting. Like, I don't know that much about Lightning. I will admit that my technical understanding of Lightning is rather shallow. So yeah, I'm all ears when it comes to stuff like this. I want to hear why it will or won't work. I think it's, a discussion that we're probably, we probably thought we were going to have it 5 years from now, but it looks like we're going to have it pretty soon.
Well, fees are still very low right now, so there's really not a push for a layer 2 solution like Lightning yet. But when it does happen, when you do need it, you want that to be mature enough that people could onboard and it's not going to be problematic. So it's almost like the cart before the horse type thing. Like, what do you need, or horse before? Like, what do you need now? We need people to work on solutions for scaling out microtransactions, micropayments, and best time to do it. It's like planting a tree. 20 years ago, the second best time to do it is today. You don't want to wait till it's well past, like, oh shit, we can't do anything now. Everything's stalled. We can't move Bitcoin around. No, let's work on it. Let's fund this shit. Let's try to find a solution. But let's not fucking just throw in new shit into Bitcoin that could potentially fuck things up.
Agreed. Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything else you want to chat about before we dive right in?
You see me hit 245 on the bench today? No spotter.
I did not watch you, Joe.
Like butter. I think my max is 255 or 260. I probably did that about a year ago. And today I was doing 245. No problem.
Flat?
I was on what?
Flat?
Yeah, flat barbell. And I said to my wife, I used to tape the reps so that I could like send them to people who like give a shit about that. Like, I'm in a couple of chats where we, share progress. But the thing I noticed today is that if I didn't tape the reps, I probably would have stopped at 235, because it feels like you're really grinding out the rep. But when you see it back on video, the bar is moving pretty good. And you're like, okay, I can do 2.5 more pounds, 2.5 more pounds.
As long as you have somebody there to give you a helping hand.
There's no one there. But I think if I do 250 or 260, I'll have to call my wife down.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Mentally, it's hard to get to that when you have nobody there to assist you.
I got the opposite problem. I think I can do it, and I'll wind up dying. I think that's where I got to figure that out. If I die, it's not good. Can't have that.
Train a dog, so if he ever sees you in a state of distress, that he is able to alert your wife.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So you got to be tough.
That's a couple weeks of training, right? At least. Yeah.
No, I'm sure the big game yesterday that I totally missed. I'm very disappointed. You gonna say anything about it? I don't have a
I don't care. I don't care. I barely watched it. I was talking to our friends.
You barely watched it?
Yeah, I watched it during I have Dazen on my whatever Fire Stick thing. But I was talking to our friends Wayfaring and SB during the game, along with my own sort of IRL buddies. I wasn't watching the game too much. It was over in the first quarter. It's like 17-0 in the first quarter. So, yeah.
No comeback then.
No, not yesterday.
Whatever. Too bad. So sad. Let's talk about Bitcoin.
Sure.
Or at least stuff that's related to Bitcoin. Because the first story is MicroStrategy. No, sorry, strategy. What a fucking interesting thing. Because, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this whole thing. Because for people who aren't aware, MicroStrategy changed their name to Strategy. Simply Strategy. So new name, but same thing, right? And with that, I've heard some people indicate that maybe it's the wrong move to make, the wrong name to, because if you do a search on strategy, it's not just simply pointing to the company. Like if you do a search on Microsoft, you're not fucking going anywhere else. Alphabet is a pretty shitty name, and I think about it, they should have kept it as Google.
Yeah, but they run the search, so they don't have to worry about that.
That is true.
Yeah.
Until they don't, and then what happens at that point? Then you'll never get to see what's going on in Alphabet / Google. But like this strategy thing, like it's just it's just a new coat of paint more than anything else. I'm not sure if you want to
totally
add anything to that, but
do you think like the way I view this, they're just continuing to kind of get away from their software business, which by the way is losing money. So, like, does anyone really care at this point what they're called? Like, what does it matter? It doesn't, I don't think, unless one of the best theories I saw is that it's actually a transitional theme between MicroStrategy and what they're going to eventually be called Strategy Bank. And that to me has a little bit more.
What is the bank
pizzazz?
part?
Well, I don't know, but they're obviously positioning to be a financial company. So, that B obviously is Bitcoin, but I think they could eventually add ANK to that. And before you know it, your Strategy Bank. To me, I don't care about any of this. I did see that they bought the Strategy Twitter handle. God, that must have been a pretty penny. That guy's probably retired now. Yeah. So, all these things I just say are sort of noise for now. I've said my piece on Saylor many times on this show. I don't trust him. I don't think anybody should trust him. And, he's now Mr. Crypto this, crypto that. For a guy who was Bitcoin is Manhattan, he's sure using the C word an awful lot. And we'll see what ends up happening. The other thing too,
he's saying they should have renamed it to Laura.
Yeah, Laura, forever Laura. Yeah, for sure. I don't really care about this, and
how
I don't
much
really
did it cost them? You think to do that? Like, is this like a millions of dollars type of thing?
Probably it has to be.
Because I'm trying to wonder, could they recoup this in now the new merch that they could sell? Maybe they
did. You buy any merch? Did you buy?
I never did, but I'm certain people have bought it before when they MicroStrategy, and maybe those same folks are going to buy it now as Strategy. They could have run the numbers and say, okay, this might end up costing us nothing because there's enough fanboys out there that will just buy our merch. So who knows?
It wasn't like so. It's like, I hate to say it, it's irrelevant really what they're called at this point. No one who's not in Bitcoin cares about them, and the people who care don't care what they're called. So, it's like if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, doesn't make any noise. I don't know. That's how I view this. I don't think
ASIC is mining in the forest. Does anybody hear the fans running?
Yeah, if no one's there to hear the words, is it actually hashing? I don't know. But like it's again, he's preaching in a to a congregation of the converted at this point. I don't think he's winning anyone else over. Although we do have a story today that we'll share. Somebody in Canada's market has gone Bitcoin and actually emailed us, and will probably come on the show. But like, as far as like big companies, I don't think he's winning anyone over. And I would also point to, how many companies not named Metaplanet, MSTR, or Semler are having success with the Bitcoin strategy. There's a few others who are doing it. GNS is doing it. I forget what the other companies are, but there's like a handful of others, and they don't seem to be doing that well. And I would put to you guys, not that people who listen to this show give a shit about this, because you guys hate stocks in general, but hate MicroStrategy even more.
I think there's a number of people that listen that like it, or at least
listen that like it. No, people who know we do the show like it, and the people who don't listen like it, but the people who actually listen and watch the chat don't care. And the thing I would say is, if you're one of these smaller companies doing the Bitcoin strategy and trying to draw capital to your stock, Bitcoin Well is another example. Liquid, I don't know, there's probably a few others, but
Tahini's got to go public. buddy, they got to do
Yeah,
that.
you can't go public selling chicken wraps, unfortunately. At least
Why
not at
not?
the scale they're doing it. But the thing I was going to say is that like
McDonald's
no
is
one is
for fucking burgers. This is the same
no
thing,
one's
right?
coming. No one's coming to capital markets and saying, "I want to get the company that's fifth largest and fifth best at doing this. I want to get the company that's the best at doing it," and that's MSTR. And by the way, the only reason Metaplanet's really doing that well is because I don't think you can buy MSTR stocks in Asia. So that's a whole other story, right? But you can't buy the same way you can't buy Metaplanet here unless you have some specialty account. Probably you can't do MSTR over in Asia.
Honest. If you had the chance to buy Metaplanet, would it even be like anywhere?
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like if you're buying the company for the Bitcoin treasury strategy, you're never going to take fifth on the list. Why wouldn't you just go right to MSTR? And so like these other companies who are trying to do this, maybe they get a little bit of a look, but long term, I don't see how you can expect that those companies would outperform MSTR if the only draw is the treasury strategy. And by the way, even the MSTR bears admit that no other public company can catch these guys now in terms of Bitcoin holdings, obviously, because as soon as some other major starts to buy, the price runs and that's it. So I don't understand now what these other companies are doing or planning on doing.
They're living in a fiat world. It's a fiat system. This STRK stuff, you seem to have enjoyed the release of this new.
I wanted it. I mean, me and Mark were talking about it in the CBP.
Well, just to give
DNS chat,
an idea what this is. So this is a preferred stock that's been released this past week. I think was $80 US was the sale price. So it's a Bitcoin security. Sorry, Bitcoin secured security with a 9% yield on it, and it's way more than what you get with banks or anything that's related to the banks or any other companies. So it makes it more attractive if you want to get some yield. And again, this is all fiat stuff. Yield, where does it come from and all this shit. Anyways, STRK is the ticker. I
don't care. I think the other thing to think about, and actually we should ask Mark. Mark is due for an appearance on the show as a guest anyway, but I think the thing to ask yourself if you're an MSTR common stock shareholder is why would you buy common stock over Strike? You get the dividend and you can take the dividend either in cash or in common stock. So again, the optionality is greater on the Strike side. I will preface that or couch that by saying that your Wealthsimple is not going to have Strike. You have to go to TD or RBC or Scotia, whatever your like sort of quote unquote prime dealer is for those preferreds, but you can get them at the retail level. Like it's available to me on TD and RBC. So if I wanted to, I could go that direction. I just think like, again, MSTR is going to cannibalize themselves at least a little bit here because no one with a sound mind is going to buy the common stock over the yield stock. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And by the way, on the earnings call last week, there was talk about being able to claim that dividend in Bitcoin down the road. So, if you're a Bitcoiner, chances are
they would give up some of the Bitcoin that they hold as a way.
Maybe if they think that they can do better this way. I don't know what their plan is, but it's interesting all the same. Like it is kind of cool, right? You buy 100% of the stock and get 8% of your holdings back in Bitcoin. Well, that gives them 92% to do whatever with. And, they probably have a whole set of different financial rules around that preferred. I'm not sure what they are, but my guess is they can probably, tool that in a way that makes sense as far as the Bitcoin accruing that's going on. But I mean, they're cannibalizing the common stock because I don't think a lot of people are going to take dividends in common stock. You'd rather take it in cash and put it toward the preferreds. That's how it works in my head anyway. But we'll see some more ways to think about this. People will think about it over the next week or 2 weeks, and we'll see some takes. I'm sure. I don't know what those takes will be, but they'll be better than that one. Maybe we'll find out.
I have no take, so whatever take you have or anybody else have would be better than mine. Czech Republic. Some news came out over there that the president has signed a law. We've been talking a lot about the Czech Republic in the last
every week. Yeah,
it seems like that. We're talking about the Singapore dollar, so now we have to do the CZK, whatever currency that is, but the name of it. Either way, their president has signed into law that is going to be very interesting for Bitcoiners out there. Transactions up to 4,100 USD per year doesn't have to be reported to tax authorities. So you can spend your Bitcoin up to $4,100 per year and it's tax exempt. Also, if you hold on for 3 years, your Bitcoin, it's no capital gains after that.
That's huge. That second one is huge.
And this more than anything about all these central banks talking about it, strategic reserve, or anything along those lines, this is the one that I love to see, because then it really itemizes that this is a currency that can be used anywhere you want, and you don't have to think about the tax implications that come along with it. If that's erased, you hold it for 3 years. And think about people that held on to Bitcoin for 3 years now. 3 years ago, what was the price of Bitcoin? Well, that was during the big crash of FTX and all that other stuff.
It was like down, less than 10,000, I'm pretty sure.
No, it went to 15K-ish.
Did it?
USD,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the lowest I remember. Imagine you bought in, say, at 20 or 30,000. Now you're sitting at 97,000. Just switched as I looked at it, by the way. 90. So you more than 3x, and that's just my example. It could be way higher than that. So the incentive to spend is there, right? Everything has gone up in price. Things are getting more difficult, and now you have this thing that is going up in value. Yes, but you could tap into it without having to pay capital gains tax. This I love. The Czech Republic, for whatever reason, it is coming out ahead here, and this was a dark horse. Nowhere was this even in my fucking card of countries to pick. Good for them. Good on the president. And you know what? On top of that, I said, fuck getting the central bank buying Bitcoin and adding it to reserve. If any central bank is going to do it, I'm going to cheer for the Czech Republic one to do it, because why not? Let them buy corn. Let them have their citizens spend a corn. Let's make this the corn country. El Salvador, it looks like they have lost that title. Maybe Czech Republic could now have that crown.
I like everything you said there. We've talked in the past, most of the time unfavorably, about these policy groups that tweet a lot, talk a lot, but don't produce anything. And this is a great example of what guys like Dennis Porter have been trying to get done, Mills and Wolf here in Canada trying to get done, probably, whatever European nation equivalent is out there, nation equivalents are out there trying to get done. Czech Republic did it. The de minimis, 4,100, that's pretty good every year. That's a nice chunk. And then the 3-year hodl, not even a cycle, by the way. The 3-year hodl, no capital gains. That's exactly the kind of law you need. And by the way, the benefit is not just, oh, my Bitcoin's going up. If you have to hold Bitcoin for 3 years, how much did you change as an individual, as a man, in the first 3 years you held Bitcoin? Probably a lot.
It's not even the first 3; it's the last 3 years. That's really
whatever. You know what I mean?
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
How things. I mean, my eyes have opened up to what's going on. But yeah, that's right. I don't want to digress.
No, but you're right though. I'm asking you. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you change a lot, and if you have a lot of people in your society, or 5% of people in your society, who suddenly have that light bulb moment, I should say, then you're going to benefit more than just in your pocketbook. You're going to benefit broadly across all sorts of different silos. You're going to see better bureaucrats, better police, better teachers, better neighbors, better community leaders. You're going to see people emerge with capital who understood that 3 years was a good amount of time to hold. And those people will have better ideas. They'll be the sort of people that understand longer time horizons and the value of planting a tree, under which you will not enjoy any shade. It's for future generations, stuff like that. That's the kind of thinking you need. And Bitcoin encourages that. In the past, we've been accused as a community of being get rich quick enthusiasts, of pump and dump enthusiasts, of tulip and, enthusiasm and things of this nature. We've been accused of all these things, all of them now being shown to be incorrect. And it's not just because we had to wait for 100,000 for 12 years or 13 years. It's because now, having waited, the group of people who didn't sell at 40, 50, 60, 70, and still are not selling now, understand time horizons. And those people now have more capital, more influence, and are fully formed or closer to fully formed. That's great. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in the Czech Republic now. 5 years, 10 years from now, what kind of people you think are going to be living there? What kind of people you think are going to be running politics there? That's a, or economic policy in the Czech Republic based around Bitcoin as a central idea. Sound money as a central idea.
Impressed at all.
That old bag of bones will be dead by then. But like the point is that like this is big for a country that we would not have otherwise spoken about on this show. right? I don't think we've talked about the Czech Republic once in 4 years.
Aside from maybe Hasek or Yager.
Yeah.
Now, this eases the sting from 1998 in Nagano when. So
that's for sure what they're thinking of. They're definitely thinking of that.
They must be, because now I am at peace with them. So this move certainly eased that sting. Costco in the US, Joey.
Yeah.
Not sure if
do you think this is the, I don't care about this at all. I put it in the notes, but this is the Moon Boy clickbait title of the week for me.
No, it's exposure. It's more exposure to Bitcoin, where it gives people optionality to buy Bitcoin.
Sure.
So are people going to use it? I don't know, but I like the fact that there's another on-ramp that they're going to be offering customers of Costco to do. Now, for people that are unaware what the heck I'm talking about, in the US and Costco, they're going to be installing Bitcoin ATM machines at some of their stores. They have, in the United States, 600 nationwide Costco's, from what I gather, and the company Liberty X will be installing the ATMs, so people over there could simply just buy Bitcoin. And they have right now 30,000 ATMs in retail stores across 44 states currently. So they have a fair amount of market exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not KYC free, from what I understand. They say you have to download the Liberty X app. You have to create an account,
of course,
and then provide your wallet address. And so it's just like an exchange, so to speak. But a lot of people would probably just have cash in their hand. I want to buy Bitcoin. They have an opportunity to do like that. And these are the people, the Liberty X folks. They installed the first Bitcoin ATM in Canada, in Vancouver, I think in 2014. I could be wrong on a date, but it was in Vancouver at the time. So they have exposure in North America in totality. Now, you're not bullish on this. It's kind of a clickbaity story. I like the fact that there's just another way to on-ramp onto Bitcoin. And I think that in the future, it's going to be the opposite. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I think onboarding in Bitcoin will eventually become more difficult in Canada, maybe United States. But for the time being, they're opening up more avenues for people to get into Bitcoin. So I think it's a cool story.
Okay, a couple things. Costco clearly trending toward making hard money available for its clients, right? Its customers. Did the gold bars, silver bars, now this in store. That's a good sign. You and I have talked before about the nature of the ATM and the kind of person that wants to use an ATM and pay the premium. Who is that person? That person is maybe trying to convert cash into harder money without dealing with a bank, or going to a metals dealer where you have to show ID and whatnot. That person is probably very privacy focused and probably wants KYC free sats for a purpose, either immediate or in the future, a purpose that KYC'd stats can't serve or don't do as good a job serving. So who's the person that's going to go in and scan their Costco ID, walk through the store loaded with cameras, put cash in there, and then leave? Who's using that ATM is my question.
Somebody who just has money burning a hole.
Sorry, I just don't buy it. I just don't think it makes any sense. I don't think it makes sense.
They have, what is the number? 30,000 ATMs in 44 states. I don't think they're putting these up for charity. They're making money somewhere.
But my question is who's buying them? By the way, I don't think you can even use cash at Costco. It's debit or their credit card. So you have to actually bring the cash to the Costco. Like I don't know. I don't see it.
Is it bullish, bearish? Who cares?
If anything, I think it's neutral until Costco shows me on an early earnings call that people are ripping through these ATMs and they're having to, take cash out of them 20 times a week. Then I reserve my judgment, I guess.
I'm not saying it's a raging success, just the fact that they have a lot of ATMs throughout the United States, 44 states. And it's a business. They're not doing this to lose money or to just be a charity case. Clearly, they're making money somewhere. People are buying it. I really don't give a fuck who is buying it, as long as they're putting in legitimate cash. It's not fake money, and they're getting corn as a result. So good on them. I want to see more exposure. I want to see more opportunities to buy Bitcoin. I want to see this everywhere, not just ATM, but just everywhere people have the ability to buy and spend Bitcoin without being fucking subjected to taxes. That would be fucking incredible. Let's all go to the Czech Republic.
Yeah, good comment.
CBP, think about that.
Yeah,
Czech
good comment.
Republic.
Good comment from Torup in the chat. It's eyeball marketing and helps me tell grandma, look, see, you know, like when grandma's in there in Costco with you, buying you the latest Turbo Man doll. You can tell her
What's a Turbo Man?
it's from Jingle All the Way. Arnold Schwarzenegger spends the whole movie trying to get a Turbo Man for his kid.
Oh,
Put the cookie down. Don't. I think she's in the shower. You want me to go check? Don't go check.
This is just. Let's talk about Sparrow quickly. I'm sure there's a lot of people that use Sparrow. I use Sparrow myself, and there was just an upgrade this past week. I suggest people that are using Sparrow and are also using Ledger. Shame on you if you are. Upgrade it to the latest version. The last one I saw was 2.1.2. There has been 2 releases of the 2.1 series within the past week to fix some bugs, and one was to fix transaction loading file and signing on older Ledger devices. So again, so if you're using a Ledger, I would suggest you use it. But also the new one gives access to the Blockstream Jade Plus, which we talked about not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to do a clarification on something. I was incorrect when I said the Blockstream Jade Plus has a secure element chip in it. It does not. And what it uses is a blind oracle, the same way the Blockstream Jade OG uses. The price of the unit, was it 149 to 169? I seem to
something like that.
So why would anybody want to buy this when it doesn't have a secure element chip in it? Sure, it might have a better camera, and it might be bigger screen and all this.
But the camera is not good. And you know, I just pulled it up. The reason you jogged my memory there, it's actually 250 Canadian before shipping. So you're getting closer to the cold card. Like why not just buy the cold card? You're going to go to this price point.
100%. Yes, 100%. And somebody was mentioning that the camera is not robust enough to scan a seed QR. That is the standard QR code thing provided by Seed Signer for the 12 or 24 words. So for whatever reason, the camera wasn't able to scan that accurately, or at least do it without any issues. So even the camera may be better in the Plus, it's still nothing to really write home about in the end. So to go back, I talked about Blockstream Jade Plus, and it looks like it may be a total miss from what I see. I have never tried it, and so I can't give any firsthand reviews, but just from what I see here, I don't know why you would want to do anything else than a cold card or maybe a seed sign or something like that. But certainly Blockstream Jade Plus, nah.
I wasn't impressed with the Jade. Like I'm looking at the Jade right now, and I wasn't impressed with it when we tried it before, and so I can't imagine. Now, don't get me wrong. There's value in, you know, iterating and trying to improve incrementally and things like that, you know, model to model, version to version. But things like the camera, if you have a camera, the camera has to work. Otherwise, it's just a vanity project, right? Here's a camera. It doesn't scan anything. Well, that's great. But, you know, when push comes to shove or in crunch time or whatever, you know, analogy you want to make.
Well, you know, you never know when you have to take that quick dick pic. And you guys got to grab that first thing that's nearby. Oh, here's my Blockstream Plus Jade. Let's take a picture of my junk.
Mint it with the Cockstream Jade Plus.
The one thing that the Jade Plus does have over the predecessor is that it's totally air gap, but I'm not going to use that as the be all and end all to use that instead of a better device. Like I would suggest a cold card.
It's air gap, but it doesn't have whatever. What did you say? The thing the cold card has 2 of now.
The secure element chip.
Element, exactly. Yeah. So again, listen, I will be the first to admit that on this show, sometimes we split hairs. All these things are pretty good. You know, like even the Ledger, for all its shortcomings, has some good things about it.
The Ledger is better than leaving it on an exchange.
Yeah.
I'll say
it's
that.
better. Yeah, it's better. Like all these things, like you're making gains incrementally and giving things back incrementally from device to device, and you trade some things for ease of use, while other things you get less ease of use but more security, or you know, there's always trade-offs. But on this show, sometimes I do think we split hairs about, well, I can't use this one because it doesn't have a secure element, or I can't use this one because it stores, you know, seeds in the cloud, or the BitKey has the you know, inline multisig with the server and the device and one other person or one other place, whatever it is. All this stuff is fine. The problem with the Jade is the price. And for that price, you can get better devices that don't make the trade-offs. That's the problem with the Jade. The Jade is small, so the screen is not going to be good no matter how many pixels they cram into it. The camera's not good, so it's not going to be convenient to take a picture. It's, you know, it needs a phone, so it's not going to be this thing you can use on your own. It needs a, you know, it needs a phone or a Sparrow iteration, whatever, right? Things like that. Like, you're not going to get any less than that with the cold card, but you do get more. You're not going to get any less than that with, like, I don't know, what's another good example? The
Passport.
Or a Keystone. One. Like, the Keystone devices are pretty good too, you know, and Keystone's true air gap now. So, like,
wasn't that a ripoff of? I don't want even to
Passport was a ripoff of something. Not.
I don't want to say what it is, just in case I'm wrong.
Trezor, I think, right? Is that?
Yeah, I don't want to say anything, but apparently it was a pure ripoff of something. And
that was the story. That was the story. Foundation has been trying to push those devices a lot, and they're spending a lot of marketing dollars. I've never seen or met anyone who uses one. Have you?
Didn't you get one?
I got a Keystone. I have 2 Keystones that I got from Keystone. Both of them I gave away. But they're good devices. Like, they're both air gapped. The screen is huge. The camera's good. One of them is like fingerprint sensor ready if you want it to be. Keystone, to their credit, has 2 versions of their firmware. One is you can get, you know, Bitcoin plus everything else, and one is Bitcoin only. And people say, well, the Bitcoin only one, you're still exposing yourself to all the other hardware. The second version of the Keystone, once you go Bitcoin only, it bricks the rest of the capabilities. You can't go back. Like that, like that's a good iteration. Like, that's a company. You can say what you want. Oh, they're located in China or they're an Asian company, whatever. That's a company who's at least listening to what people are saying about the device. And like, I look at Jade and I'm like, who's asking for the improvements you made? And the improvements you did make, you know, are they really even that good? No, they're not. Everyone seems to agree. So I don't know, like, do what you want, man. But you know, a 250, you could do better than a Jade Plus. That's without shipping.
149, Joey. 149, 169.
It's 250 Canadian.
I'm using Canadian. USD. This Canadian thing, everything I get is in USD. So that's the only number I see for anything I go online. Salvador,
we'll be seeing that a lot more when we're the 51st state in a couple of weeks.
May happen. El Salvador, they are still buying Bitcoin. Remember the whole fiasco with them and the IMF?
Oh yeah. The
IMF said, with the money we're going to give you, you can't buy any Bitcoin. Well, El Salvador seems to be ramping up their Bitcoin buys. This past week, they added another 21 Bitcoin to their treasury. Now, 21 isn't a great deal, but it's a heck of a lot more than I could buy in a week. So I have to give them credit for doing that. Was the number 21 also on purpose? That's another question I have. I don't know. I think it's just coincidence more than anything else. But more than anything, I don't want to say that their deal with the IMF was good or bad, but just maybe getting this money from the IMF or this deal with the IMF freed their capital. Instead of now earmark their money to do whatever improvements, they could use the IMF money to do whatever improvements, and the money that they originally allocated for that is now free to do what? To do stuff for Bitcoin. Maybe this is one way they're giving a middle finger to the IMF. They're not buying Bitcoin directly with the money they're getting from the IMF. They're doing it indirectly by using the money that they would have initially used. So I'm just looking at this. It may be still a shitty move that they did with the IMF. But again, I don't live there. I have no skin in the game with respect to El Salvador. I can't vote. I didn't vote in Bukele, and I'll never be able to vote there. I have no intention to move there. This is simply just a move, and hopefully it works out best for the citizens of El Salvador, because really that's what he's trying to do, I think, is represent at best the citizens of El Salvador. So 21 Bitcoin they added to their balance sheet. Maybe more next week. Who knows? When
did he buy it?
It's within the past week.
You sure?
I don't know when. Apparently, that's what it says, yeah.
I'd be shocked if that was true.
They're buying one a day. They have been claiming to buy one a day.
They've been claiming a lot of things. That I'd be shocked if that was true. I've said this before. I will say it again. The IMF doesn't negotiate. They kill your family. And the idea that these guys took an IMF loan and are going to use money to buy Bitcoin on the side, or use that money to buy Bitcoin, I think is wrong. It is just wrong. You know, Confessions of an Economic Hitman isn't written about a bunch of people who go there and ask nicely for you to play ball. Okay. That's not what hitman means. So the idea that any of these companies or countries, I should say, are, pulling a fast one on the IMF.
Didn't they provide an address as a way to get?
I don't.
They did stuff like this.
That's not my concern. I'm not saying they don't have the Bitcoin. I'm saying the likelihood that they bought it since agreeing to this loan, or since the terms of the loan have come into effect.
You could check this again. If there's an address which you could check, you could see when the Bitcoin is coming in. It's not like it was held, or maybe it was held somewhere else and then moved there in the past week. But again, this is something from what I gather you could check. I don't have the address handy. But before we nail the guy to the cross,
we got to find out.
Yeah, man. Let's find out, because if this is indeed true, he got the 20. Great. He's adding the hardest fucking asset that we know of to their treasury. I can't see anything that's terrible with that decision. Maybe other decisions may be questionable, but that one, I like it. They also did another thing. They're outsourcing or insourcing. I don't know what do we describe it. Their penal system. Remember? So I'm not sure if you saw this story, Joey. Are you there? Oh yes.
I'm looking at something here.
You're frozen so look, there.
Well, I'm reading this thing from Reuters about how the IMF is not going to let them do this. The government's announcement that it would make more Bitcoin purchases. This is from December 24. The government announcement that it would make more Bitcoin purchases, quote, might just be a way to counter any negative blowback from a perceived diminished status of the cryptocurrency in El Salvador. Given the size and the likely terms of given the size and the likely the terms of the IMF deal, it was worth for Bukele to do that, to say that he was going to keep buying. But I don't know, man. We will see. Okay.
Yeah.
But again, don't forget, Jaime Garcia, great friend to the show, came on here many times over the last 4 years. And what does he say all the time? He couches these great Bukele statements, these strong showings, these incredible presentations. What does he say about Bukele? What's his history? Do you remember?
No.
He's in marketing. The guy's a marketing guru. Came from that industry. And so when I see stuff like this, grand announcements, Bitcoin City, all this stuff, I'm looking and I'm seeing the stuff that Jaime said more than I'm seeing a guy who's willing to go against the IMF.
I'm not saying he's willing to go against the IMF. I'm just simply saying that they are adding Bitcoin to their treasury. Yeah. I like it. I like it. All and right. If they're adding more now than they were before, all the more power to them. This is only going to empower the citizens.
We're going to see.
Yeah, of course. The one thing that I was going to say something, I was taken off track. Did you see this past week? They are going to be offering up their prison services to the United States. So United States will be sending prisoners. I don't know what type of prisoners. I guess Salvadorian prisoners. I don't know, to El Salvador to be incarcerated there. That's it.
Everyone's seen videos of El Salvador's prison system. Another Bukele presentative special. Doesn't look fun, does it? These guys in handcuffs, basically strapped to each other's backsides, human centipede style. Does not look good over there. If you're in confinement,
it makes you think twice
for sure.
That's deterrent. It's capital punishment is probably the most extreme version of a deterrent. This is damn close to that.
Yeah.
David Sachs. I know very little about this guy.
I like Sachs, but yeah. Go ahead.
I was wrong. I thought you didn't like him.
I like him. Yeah, I like him overall, but I would say as far as his role as a crypto czar, he's more David Snakes than David Sachs. But anyway.
Why do you say that?
Well, give the story and then I'll tell people why.
No, he's saying that the Bitcoin reserve will be one of the first things they're going to look at in the next little while. There's been a lot of hype and a lot of letdown with this whole strategic reserve and adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet. But really, I think with a lot of people being anxious about this, I'll say this: who the fuck cares? It shouldn't impact your ability to buy and hold Bitcoin. If the United States does anything with Bitcoin, number go up, great. If they don't do anything, numbers stay down, great. So, with respect to David Sachs, I have really nothing to say. I thought you would have at least like give some comments or a snippet, because
I
in
could.
general, you talked about him. I've heard comments about you, and I always thought the comments were always negative about him.
Sax is the guy who makes the All In podcast go. The All In podcast fucking sucks without Sax there. From like a sort of quality of a product standpoint, that podcast stinks without his points of view and his contrarian. So I'll give him that.
What about the Bankless? How would you rank that compared to the Bankless stuff?
Oh, Bankless is a great show, but for different reasons. A lot of different reasons. Bankless.
Are we gonna do a collaboration with Bankless?
Yeah. Those guys be working for us if the ETH price keeps moving the way it's moving. That's good. Those guys can be our EAs if we play our cards right. So the thing about Sax and the reserve. Okay, a couple things. Let's go with the positives first. Okay, since I'm being told here, I'm going to say something negative, and I probably will. The positives are that
I don't care if it's positive. I just
the guy is the AI and crypto czar. Has anyone heard him say anything about AI?
I haven't followed him, so I can't really.
He hasn't, as far as I can tell, he hasn't said anything about AI. He's saying way more about crypto, which is great. That's a good sign that these guys are doing stuff with crypto, whether it's Bitcoin or other garbage these guys have in their bags. Fine, I will take that. That's a win. I will accept that. Probably the idea they're going to review or consult on or consider or form a committee about a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I don't think that's great language. This guy made a promise, Trump I'm talking about now, to a couple of big crowds over the course of the campaign in the summer of 24 that he was going to do a Bitcoin reserve.
Did he say that?
He did. At the big conference, he said that.
Okay.
So he said that.
Because I just don't.
Dave Bailey wrote that for him. I am fucking sure of it and got it right. And he said it, and he said it a couple of times and hasn't done it yet. Now I will also grant you on the positive side. It's not that he hasn't done it because he's been doing nothing. He's very busy. This guy, he is on fire in the White House. That place has done more in the last 2 weeks than in the previous 4 years combined. Easily. It's not even close. So that's a positive. The negative is that, and I'm not the first person to say this, but if you look at the language they're using about the strategic reserve, two things jump out at me. One, they're starting to say it's going to be Bitcoin and some other stuff. Don't love that. That's an indication to me that these guys are looking to pump their own bags. More on that in a second. The other thing is that I'm not convinced that consulting on and forming a committee on, and we're going to do something in the next 100 days means that they're going to do a reserve. Mostly because it's hard for me to imagine these guys hold Bitcoin in a strategic reserve without being a miner. I don't see how the US can say to themselves, we're going to hold this thing. It's an impartial third asset. It's an impartial global settlement layer, whatever they call it. And they decide we're not going to mine it. We're not going to help verify the network. We're not going to help secure the network. That doesn't make sense. It's not something they do in any other realm in terms of assets, whether it's treasuries, gold, the US stock market, you name it. They are securing the quote unquote networks across all those other silos. And so I expect gold. Well, they have at least Fort Knox. They don't repatriate gold.
That's like a wallet.
They influence the repatriation of gold from both New York and London to countries who quote unquote don't deserve it. That's securing the network in my view. And don't forget, they haven't marked to market their gold yet. So they're keeping that price artificially low and keeping that in their back pocket. That's another thing.
Wouldn't Coinbase and Fidelity be part of that securing the network?
Well, this is the thing, right? Like there's some element there for sure.
They have,
but the mining thing is the thing that makes more sense to me that they should be doing. And I don't understand
what about
how they
gold mining. Do they gold mine?
Oh, I don't know. Like this Newmont, yeah, okay, maybe. But again, here's the thing.
I'm not trying to say that.
Here's the thing.
Bad thing.
Here's the thing. If gold goes to $5,000 an ounce, Newmont's going to get a call from the Department of Defense. Barrick is going to get a call from the Department of Defense at $5,000 an ounce.
And what they're going to say, hey, when Bitcoin goes to $1 million.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like there's going to be incentive for these guys to mine. And by the way, if they start to add it as a reserve asset, it's going up in price. And so they're going to do both. That's the other thing. It's,
You
let
know
me just
the funny
backtrack.
thing.
Hold on. Let me backtrack 1 second to these guys pumping their bags. The Trump Liberty Fi group filed for an ETF
Plus
called the Bitcoin Plus account. Bitcoin Plus
what?
What
The fuck is that?
Well, here's the question. A lot of people are saying it can be Bitcoin plus other assets. Why can't it be Bitcoin plus miners?
I don't know. Nobody knows right now what the hell it could be.
You have a sovereign wealth fund that's going to be buying U.S. equities.
Do you know that the White House Crypto Council now brought in Brad Garling, whatever the fuck his name is?
That's unofficial. That's unofficial. That's unofficial. Brad Garlinghouse has been saying he's consulting with every major global power, every fucking mover and shaker.
That guy's a loser. Fucking Bitcoin, boy. Rap
bread can suck a dick, okay? Who knows what that guy's talking about? No one cares. I would say that the likelihood that the U.S. government gets into this stuff and just says we're just going to buy some Bitcoin or keep the Bitcoin we have,
whatever they want, or just keep things very close to them.
But there's no way they're going to do it and just keep the Bitcoin. They will participate in other ways because the network makes it easy to do so, and it's irresponsible of them not to. I think.
I for whatever reason, I can't see them just simply. I'm also
they won't print to buy. They're not going to print to buy Bitcoin. No. Printing to buy Bitcoin is a bad idea.
Printing to buy anything doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
It's very difficult to go out to your citizens and justify that in the short term. Long term, certainly, but the short term, the currency is going to take an absolute pounding. Prices of everything is going to go up significantly in the short term, and people are going to pay the price for that. And in the long term, it may certainly be a good move. But given we're talking about election cycles of 4 years, you have to take that in consideration. Trump, though, to his credit, he doesn't have to deal with another election. I don't think.
No.
Maybe
just one other equation to think about here. They also announced they're going to run a sovereign wealth fund. Sovereign wealth fund most of the time is commodity based. So you see countries buying oil and whatnot, energy stocks, things of this nature, energy itself, energy commodities themselves, and using them to enrich the country because there's a bit of a flywheel there. That's good. In terms of their involvement in mining, I think it makes sense for them to take equity stake in American miners if they buy Bitcoin as an asset.
National security thing.
It's exactly. And it's easier to make that case to the American public than it is to say we're nationalizing Bitcoin mining, which they've done or tried to do with gold mining in the past. And it's been met with resistance. And so this is a little easier.
I think Fort Knox has a stockpile of the amount of gold they say, or any gold.
It's got gold. They have gold for sure.
They have gold. Okay. So you have no doubts, or you're very confident that there is gold there. Maybe not to the degree that they say. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but they have some gold there.
Yeah.
What's it marked at? Do you know the price per ounce?
It's marked at $42 an ounce, I'm pretty sure.
What is it right now per ounce?
3,000.
Why is it like that?
Because as soon as it's like that, because as soon as they market to market, it becomes a more valuable reserve asset than the treasury. I think
this is what the market has defined it.
Yeah.
You know what? Bitcoin is
you can't. The thing is, they can't.
Hear me out. Bitcoin's $1 per coin. Yeah. I have 1 million Bitcoin. And I have access to the 12 to 24 words to get access to those 1 million Bitcoin. I say it's $1. The market says otherwise. When I go out there and start selling this, it's going to go up like that. And the price after that, I sell it for $1 times 1 million. It's going to go up to where the market dictates it's going to be. These guys could say it's $42 per ounce, but the reality is once it goes to market, that's the real price. Granted, if they do have all that gold that they say they do, $3,000 per ounce won't hold. It's going to go down once they sell all that in an instant. Yeah. But it's not going to be $42 an ounce. That's 1972 prices. That's not 2025 prices.
I think it's 42. I don't remember what it is now.
Whatever it is, it's significant difference. It's 19.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, even if they're marking it a year ago, it's up 50% or something. It's
all just numbers. And people will say, why don't you just make it $3,000 an ounce and pay off the debt? It really isn't that much in the grand scheme. I think it's like $1 trillion or something.
I don't know.
Half a trillion.
Have a 3,000 an ounce.
It's the total gold market is what, 14 trillion in terms
The
of the
debt in the
ETF.
US is 35 trillion, right? 36 trillion, something like that. So it's huge. It's multiples of that gold market.
But I'm not sure how much gold has been mined in totality since the beginning of time. But
I
that's
don't
a
know.
totally different topic. And that's the end of this fucking Bitcoin segment, Joey. I think it's a good time.
All right. Let's move on. If you're on video, Twitter, a bunch of you guys here, hang out. We're not going anywhere. If you're on audio only, listening on the podcast side, wait for tomorrow for the back half of the show. And until then, take care of yourselves.
And please don't be a cock, please.